Okay, yeah, Lee is here for the, actually, this is your first day at LOI,
Right.
and she chose to come here, so that's great. So anyway, I always, when I come here, when Tuesday rolls around, you know, I always have that, I got nothing, you know. I'm totally empty, I got nothing. What am I gonna do today, you know? And so actually, I take refuge in what's happening, and what's happening, of course, is the Super Bowl. And also, what's happening on Netflix is that, and if you want, you know, if I highly recommend, if you have Netflix, is to watch the Mad Men series. I didn't watch it when it was running, which it did for 9 or 8 years or something. And so I was fortunate, because I don't know why I just didn't bother with it, you know. I knew it was getting people raving about it. But now then I discovered it, you know, it was on Netflix, so I watched it, and then I watched it all the way to the end, and they left off the last year. They divided it into 2 sections until the last half off. So that just came on the other, but so now while I've been waiting for the last section to get on Netflix, we've been watching it again. So I'm watching it again. So every day at 5 o'clock, my wife and I sit down, I have a martini and watch Mad Men. So, and it enhances it quite a bit. Because Don Draper, if you what? Did anybody here watch Mad Men when it was?
Watch the first couple seasons.
I got one video from the library. It was somewhere in the middle of the program, so I don't know, it just seemed like he got a lot of sex from all the people in the office.
Well, yes, that's, no, so all right, so if you have Netflix, you know, you can, I really recommend you watching this, because it is a...
Is that free?
No, I think it's $7 a month. Yeah, but you can watch a lot of movies and documentaries and stuff on it, spiritual things, you know, there's just a ton of
So that's
stuff.
better than having all this stupid Verizon movies that I don't care for, because I have.
Yeah, you can watch, all the movies, you know, not the latest movie.
Showtime, they're stupid.
Oh, no, Netflix has,
I like documentaries.
yeah, so you can, you know, download, it comes in off the internet, you know, you download it, and it's not the latest movies, like, if you want the latest movies out on DVD, you can order the DVD, but the ones that they have called streaming are, you know, are tons of stuff, and a lot of documentary, anyway. What was I gonna say?
I'm sorry.
Go on. Buddha, okay. I always take refuge in Buddha. If I lose my place, I go back, say Buddha, and I'll find it. Okay, so the Mad Men, basically, now that I've watched it twice, I'm watching it twice, and I'll probably watch it again, basically is a modern epic of the quest for an individual's quest for inner peace. Okay? So basically it takes place, just to give you a background on it, it's called Mad Men because it's about Madison Avenue, the advertising industry that developed in the 50s and 60s, and the show takes place from 1960 to 1970. So it's very historic. If you want to remember what it was like in the 60s, watch this show, because it goes through all the products, all the events on TV, the assassinations and the elections, Marilyn Monroe's death, everything that happened in the 60s, they're watching it in the show. You know, the TV might be on, and suddenly there's Martin Luther King getting shot, and now the riots are happening in this, you know, and all this stuff, and it brings it all back, you know, because we were all there in the 60s, and we kind of like forget what it was like, before you had pop-top cans. You know, all the products that we've remember, you know, from before it became what we have today, you know. And so it's a nostalgia piece, and it's an emotional, historically emotional, because they were feeling the assassinations and the riots and all that like we did, and we've forgotten about it, you know. So there's an emotional recollection, and it's also very the Don Draper, who's the guy who has sex with everybody, is kind of like every man. You know, I mean, he's like the quarterback. You know, in other words, he's the center of the whole show. Everybody kind of like relates and bounces off of him because he's the one that's on a quest. You see, I mean, his whole movie is about a quest because he is running from his shame. He's running from his sense of being unworthy. And basically the story is based around the fact that Don Draper was not really Don Draper, he was Dick somebody, but he was born in poverty and the Depression, and he's had bad parents, and his father was kicked in the head by a horse, and he grew up in a whorehouse, and you know, just despicable conditions, you know. And so he went to Korea to get away from his past. And he was with a lieutenant in a medical unit, and they got attacked, and they were just there together. And there was some gasoline leak or something, and I think, as I recall, he lit a cigarette and dropped the lighter, and it hit the gas and went up and blew up, and so the lieutenant was burned very badly, and they were lying there on the ground, and he was unrecognized, and so he switched the dog tags. So when they came to get him, now he was Don Draper, a lieutenant, and Dick was dead. So he just he just recreated himself. So basically this, you know, this ability, his whole Don Draper goes through life creating himself. When stress happens, when pairs of opposites happen and we can't either or, should I do this or do that, I don't know what to do, he transcends the situation and just recreates it. Hi. You know, so this is Buddhism. For instance, in our practice, when we see that we're caught in a Groundhog Day in the mind, I'm worrying. That's a great one. I'm worrying about this, and I wake up worrying about it, and I'm not getting anywhere. See, so I'm in a Groundhog Day. So when we recognize that I'm stuck in a Groundhog Day of a worry mind, okay, I take refuge. So where do I take refuge? I take refuge in, well, I could say I take refuge in the Buddha, or I could take refuge in my breath. Or I take refuge in, this is where the practice, our meditation practice comes in, I take refuge in the body sensations of my body. How do I feel my hands? Can I feel the energy in my hands? Can I just relax with my breath and just be with the breath? So I'm finding a center that is not in the worry, and out of that center, insight can come up that recreates me. In other words, if we're caught in a pair of opposites that are the snake eating its own tail, it's kind of like the trench warfare of World War I. You just keep throwing stuff at each other, you know. Nobody can get out, you know. So the insight, you know, this class is called Insight Meditation, and that really means that we're trying to discover the conditions or the way in which we can awaken insight that doesn't have to transform our life, but can just transform the worry moment that I'm caught in. It's very simple. You know, if I'm worried about something and I don't know what to do, so I just keep recycling. It's kind of like when you lose the keys and you keep looking under the same magazine, see if, well, maybe I missed it the last time, you know. So you're going in a circle. You know, my favorite story is my mother. She lived to be 102, but when she was 100, she was still driving, and she lost her car keys. And so she was, you know, just running around. She knew that it was there because the car was out there. So she, you know, so she was just going around the house looking under everything over and over and over. And she said, I'm going to have a heart attack on my young one. You know, so she told me, I said, do you ever find, she said, well, let me tell you what happened. I just said, God, I give it up. You do it. I can't find the keys. I quit. You know. So in other words, she took refuge in the way she operated with God. It doesn't matter what you call it, but it was a surrender of the effort to get out of the worry cycle. And so she immediately, just for no reason, she just walked to her bedroom and went to the closet and put her hand in a sweater, and there were the keys. You know, so there wasn't any like, oh, look, it wasn't like any voice told her to look in the closet. She didn't know why she was going to the closet. But she had released herself from the personal will that was caught in a double bind of, I don't know whether to do this or that, I looked here or that, you see. Hi. Sorry. So in other words, that was the act of surrender, you see, in giving up the effort to find the car keys. You know, so that, in other words, and then she just did something spontaneously, and that was, her body knew where the keys were. Her awareness knew where the keys were, but her consciousness couldn't find it because it was stuck, you know. So this act of surrender, first of all, requires the acknowledgement that I can't get out of this worry cycle. If we were out of it, we wouldn't have, you know, we wouldn't have the worry. But if we're still in a worry cycle, it means that what we're doing is not working. I don't know what to do. So this recognition that I don't know how to get out of the fix allows a letting go of the struggle to get out of the fix. And when we let go, the fix, it's not really a fix, but it just the insight just bypasses the problem. The insight is new. The insight comes from someplace else. And you can attribute wherever the insight is, you could say it comes from my angel, or from God, or from Buddha, or from the cosmos. It doesn't make any difference what you say. It's just that this something arises that wasn't there before that lets me know what to do, or that it's okay, you know, or that, or you just find yourself doing something that you had no idea you were going to do, and it turns out to be okay. In sports, or art, this is called being in the zone. So that if you're an artist, musician, or playing, you know, and you surrender to the art, you just begin doing new stuff. You know, and the feeling like the art is doing me. You know, so an athlete, it's called being in the zone. So when they surrender to their sport, they find themselves doing spontaneous, miraculous plays. You know, it's called, you know, they can't do anything wrong. They're just, the game is doing them. Of course, this is based on intense training. You just don't do this off the hand. Every artist and every athlete trains so they're able to let go and let their training take over, you know. So there is a surrender to being spontaneous, but that's built on their training, you know. So, well, just like this talk here. So I've been reading this stuff since all my whole life, you see. So now I can just let go. You see, I don't have to come here with a book and a lesson plan, you know, and you know, in other words, and have my cheat notes over here. What was my next point, you see? So, but that comes because I've been reading this and studying and practicing this my whole life. So I always like these classes because you all, by being here, make me feel like we're all in the zone. In the sense that, you know, we're doing this together, and we don't know where it's going to go, but something's going. So we just let it go, you see. And I remember when I was listening to a talk about Chris Rock, who was giving a talk about what inspired him, and it was his grandfather, who was a preacher, and he said his grandfather would just write down some points that he wanted to say, and then he would go do his sermon, and he would just riff. You know, it's called riffing the topic, you know, so he would just start talking. And so in religious terms, you say he's in the spirit, you see. You know, that kind of thing. But that, so when Chris Rock does a HBO concert, he might get up there and talk for an hour and a half, but he's just riffing the topic. He's not, you know, reading these notes. You see, he's letting it riff. You know, when he first said it, I thought he said rip, but it's ripped. You know, we're ripping the riff. You know, and jazz players do this. They get into a space, you know, where they just play. The jazz starts doing that. The Grateful Dead used to do that. People followed the Grateful Dead because they would riff the music. You know, they didn't know where they were going. They would keep a tune, you know, but it would just. In the '60s, it was called a happening. You know, something's happening. You know, and it's always this spontaneous element to it. You see. Let me. I got a new card, and so I want to hand this out because it's got my website on it, which has the talks that I do here. Because the old card I had didn't have my website or a new email on it. So it's To Kill the Minotaur, and wait, a lot of people. You've been here before, right?
Last semester. I'm just sitting in. I'm just visiting today,
Okay.
but I was here last
You've got the Yoga Nidra
Yes.
CD and all that,
Yeah.
okay. I gave you one? No.
What is this?
Yeah, this is what I do. Now, I forgot to, but well, I'll tell people, you know, would you like to see my pride and joy? And you say, oh yeah, some ugly kid, you know, oh yeah, look at it. And I give them that, you see. And it always gets a laugh, and they always keep the card. My uncle gave me that. He said you give people that card with that pride and joy on it, and they'll keep it forever.
Where did your moniker To Kill a Minotaur come from? What's the?
Well, the To Kill a Minotaur is a play on the To Kill a Mockingbird, which I sometimes forget, and there's somebody, what's your website? Says To Kill a Mockingbird. Well, no, it's not. To Kill a Minotaur, and the Minotaur comes from the myth of Theseus and the Minotaur. If you recall, he had to go into the labyrinth to kill the Minotaur, which was his shame, Don Draper. He had to kill his shame. But how do you get out? Well, Ariadne said, if you marry me and get me away from my horrible father, I'll give you a thread that you can unravel when you go into the labyrinth, and you can follow the thread back out. So he did that. He went in and killed his shame, came back out, and he and Ariadne went away. That was the last one. But there's more to the story. But that's the basic. So that reminds me of Don Draper, you see, because Don Draper is a story about a person who had this deep shame about his worth. Like he didn't even feel he was worthy of existing, you know, that kind of, and it's buried down there. And so we build a whole elaborate life and personality based on avoiding being exposed, having our shame exposed, you know. And so this whole Mad Men series is about created to hide his shame, you see. A lot of people, you know, comics and a lot of people who become very successful in the media. Woody Allen was the first time I really noticed this, but he built his whole routine on being a neurotic. If you recall, you know, his whole shtick was that he embraced his neurosis and made it his comedy, you know. So in other words, when the only way out of shame is to embrace it. And then it's no longer shame. It's only shame if we're running from it or hiding it. You see. So
I think Joan Rivers kind of did that too.
Joan Rivers, a lot of the comics came off of that. Politicians are doing it. Bernie Sanders is doing it. See, what happened was that with the Nixon-Reagan movement, conservatism that took over the national conversation, the Republicans just made liberalism a dirty word. Oh, you're a liberal. Ew. And so the Republicans begin to move away from the liberal, you know, so it's kind of like it's got political segregation in the sense that liberals were associated with, and you remember the politics of the past with Dukakis and Mondale and McGovern and all of the Democrats who went down the tubes because they had a burning tire of liberalism hanging around their neck. Couldn't get out from the tire, you know. And so, Kerry, John Kerry, you know, oh, he's an elite Eastern liberal, you know, he drinks latte and surfboards, you know, and all these, you know, just, he's not a real person. You see, he's a liberal, you know. And today, you go on Facebook and social media, that echo of the incompetent Obama came along, and now you got the liberal associated with racial prejudice, and you got and religious, you know, and now you got this liberal slash Muslim slash Antichrist slash Satan. How big can we make him, you know? Type of thing. But all that liberal tag, you see, was the shame of being a liberal, you see. So Bernie Sanders comes along and says, basically, I'm not only a liberal, I'm a socialist. You know, so I embrace it. You know, screw you. You can't tag it on me because I accept it. You know, so this is a real, and I don't want to get into politics, you know, but I just remember the Clintons in the 90s. And how no Democrat could get elected because they were liberals, you see. Well, what Bill Clinton did was ingenious, was that he moved the liberals more, he chased the Republicans were moving to the right, so he just brought the Democratic Party and got right up next to them. So it's called, you know, moving the center, you know, so he got right up cozy. Well, then they say, wait a minute, there's a liberal sitting next to me, so they moved over here. You see? So now the Republicans have moved so far to the right to get away from the stupid, dirty, you know, ignorant liberals, you know, that they've fallen off the cliff. So Sanders is coming along and saying, wait a minute, Democrats are supposed to be back over here. You know, so it's kind of like a cosmic shift going on. And Hillary, bless her heart, you know, basically is, well, I mean, she's, you know, I don't know. Well, basically, she's kind of like stuck in her karma, you know. I mean, you know, she's not a brand new face. You know, she's got, and people, you know, so she's trying to get rid of this. She's got her own burning tire around her neck, so she's trying to get this thing off her neck, you see, that people want to keep hanging on her, you know, what you did in the past and all that. And so it's just very, we'll see what happens today with New Hampshire, but it's just a very interesting paradigm shift, you know. That's what's happening with the Republicans. all of them are off to the right together, pretty much, and they're just fighting on who's more right than I am, you know. But it's Sanders that's really changing the name, you know, the name and the form of the game. I mean, he's really trying to change the definition of the Democratic Party. Whether he's elected or not, he will have achieved that, you know, which will bring it back to the roots of FDR and social progress, you know. So whether he wins or not, I mean, I think he's really, Sanders is, always says, you know, that I want to start a revolution, which means he wants to start a people movement versus just saying, I'm going to fix it. You know, Trump's message basically is, I'll fix it because I'm Trump. Don't know what I'm going to do, but I'll fix it because I fix stuff. I'm Trump. You say, I don't need anybody else, I'll do it myself. You say, I don't need Congress, I don't need anybody, I'll fix it myself, you see, because I can do it. Sanders is saying, I can't do anything unless the people do it. So it's total different.
Do you think that Obama had a little bit of a play in the beginning of the revolution, change? Because.
Yeah, Obama.
And then.
Yeah, or if you remember when Obama got elected 8 years ago,
Yeah.
he got elected because of a speech he gave at the Democratic Convention about one America. It's not a red America or a blue America, it's one America, you know, so he really, and he's a visionary, you know, he has a vision of wholeness that bypasses the dysfunction of the left and the right. You see, we got into our country got into, and we've all been around long enough to watch it, our country got into a World War I cultural war of trenches. So you have the trenches of the left and the trenches of the right, you see, and they're pretty equal. So you look at when the elections come down, it's just like the Civil War, you know, all the South and the mid, you know, you've got the red states and you got your blue states and they stay the same. So kind of like entrenched values, each of which has merit. I mean, it's not like one is wrong and one's right. Each has a valuable perspective and something valuable to offer. But we've ended up, the politics generated this stalemate where, like in World War I, I'm talking about Netflix, so you can watch documentaries on World War I that are really interesting. And what they did was that for 4 years, what was supposed to be a quick war got entrenched into 2 long trenches, and all they could do was just create better weapons to try and destroy the other. So that's what's happened to our politics. Each side is trying to create a better weapon to destroy the other side. But then the other side develops a weapon. I got tanks, well, I got a flamethrower, you know. So, you know, it's kind of like that checkmate, you know. So it just, like, that's called a fibrillating heart. You know, when the heart fibrillates, it can't stop and it can't beat. It goes, you know. Or when you take a microphone and stick it up to an amplifier, it goes wow, 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 wow. Well, see, that's the worry mind. Yeah. So the mind is like, I'm stuck, you know, I can't do this and I can't do that, because each one looks like it might be okay. But as soon as I choose this, the other side says, wait a minute, if you choose that, this is going to happen. Oh, I'll choose it. Well, wait a minute, if you choose that, this is going to happen. Well, wait a minute, but you know, now you go, you know, so now I'm just worthless. I can't do anything, you know, now I give up, you know, I'll just, you know, I'm helpless, you know, then I go find a therapist or an authority to tell me what to do, because I can't do it, you see. You know, so this whole stuckness, this place where and Groundhog Day is a great movie to, metaphor for that, is that the only way out is, first of all, to see that I'm stuck and to be curious, not about who stuck me, but about what is the truth here? You know, what's the ground? You know, what isn't? What can you stand on here that is not stuck? So if you can find that place inside that is peaceful and steady, which is what this practice helps us do, then the insight will arise that gives us a new vision of what my situation is, what I can do. Or Eckhart Tolle will say that if you can't leave a situation or fix it, you have to accept it. Anything else is madness. So if you can leave a situation, leave. If you can fix it, fix it. But to worry, but the only thing left there is to accept it. Otherwise, you just go insane. My mother used to say, in her advanced age, she would say, well, I can talk about her body, well, if the doctors can fix it, they fix it, but if they can't, I accept it. So this, there's this practice, I see it, this, the Dharma, these insights, and this practice working in society and also in our personal life. Let's see, what else I wanted to, a lot about the teachings of Buddha. The teaching of Buddha is called Dharma. I use this word a lot. Have I lost my marker?
Here.
Thank you. Dharma. And it's called, there's a lot of different meanings to this. We've talked about this before, but one is teaching life truths. Okay. Another definition of it would be seeing. So the Dharma, while you can read books about it, the life teaching, the Dharma as life teaching has to be seen and not learned. Learning doesn't hurt, but that's not the Dharma. The Dharma is seeing the life truth of this moment. What is true right now? See, what is the truth of this moment in my life, Not what somebody else says it is, but basically, and this is only, it's kind of like, I like the word activation. When you get a credit card, you have to scrape the sticker off, and you have to call in to activate the card, otherwise it won't do anything. So you have to do something to activate the power of the card. Well, in this practice, seeing activates the Dharma. So there has to be a curiosity, there has to be an interest in seeing. You see? My wife and I have a great, we play this out all the time because she is a fixer. I mean, if there is if I can't figure out what the button is to turn this on, she will find it. Her whole persona, her whole idea of herself is one who can fix something. If you can't figure out how to get this thing to work, she'll stay with it until she dies, in other words, to get it to work. Mine is, either it's broken and I need a new one, or somebody else will do it, you see. So I have a very short threshold before I give up and start looking for a savior. See what I mean? So she kind of like, in our relationship around with household things, she's kind of like the savior, and I'm kind of like the one who needs saving. And it's a very mundane, simple level. We all know how this works, because we all have situations where I can't get the box open and somebody else comes in. Well, just they just put their finger right on it, and I might have been looking, but this plays out. But I'm at a point with my wife now where it's my Woody Allen routine. It's really kind of fun. It's humor. Like I go to the Walmart to get white chocolate, because she's gonna make some brownies. I don't know what she was gonna make, you know. So, it's always a quest for the Holy Grail when I go to the market to get something, because there's always gonna be something on there that I can't find, and that reactivates my karma. See, the karma is, I can't find it or I can't fix it. Woe is me, I'm worthless. You see, so this karma digs up my buried sense of shame, you see, that I can't fix it. The commercial, the GM commercial, and the son comes home proud that he's got a job with GE, you know, and he's gonna write programs for trains and cars and stuff, you know, and the father says, "Oh, I'm sure proud, you know, that you've done that, son. I think it's time to give you your grandpappy's hammer." And he pulls out this big sledgehammer, boom, and puts it there. He says, "Pick it up." And the son goes, "Well, you know, I'll be writing programs now." "You can't pick it up, can you?" And the son's lip quivers a little bit. He doesn't even try. "You can't pick up the hammer." Right? So, right there, you see this sense of shame in the son, hoping that this time Dad would recognize me and give me respect, you see. But no, you can't even pick up the hammer. You're worthless. You don't deserve your grandpappy's hammer. Yeah,
So quick question regarding, you said your karma.
yeah.
What is it? It's like, what would you say? Like for you, it is like the sense of shame that you cannot fix it. For your wife, she's a fixer. Does it have to be positive, negative? How is it?
Yeah, well, you recognize karma because it's a Groundhog Day. Now, Groundhog Day is either my whole life is a Groundhog Day, or just going to the market to get some white chocolate is a Groundhog Day. It can be really little or really big. You know, it's like the Russian nesting dolls. You know, you got one and another and another and another and another, you know, so we can find our whole karmic cosmos in little things. So I go to get the white chocolate, right? And there's, and I find where the chocolate is, the chocolate chips and all that. And then at the top on the shelf, there's Baker's chocolate, and they got all these different bittersweet, dark chocolate, but used for baking, big bars, And so I'm looking and I'm looking and I'm looking and I can't find it, And so, damn it, well, I got AT&T because that works in Walmart now. When I had Verizon, it didn't work. So now I can call up, see, now I can call her up, and said, "Okay, I can't find the white chocolate." She said, "Well, you go, well, it might be out in the center house." And I'll go out there, "No, I can't find it there." "Well, then, it must be back there about the chocolate chips." So I looked there and I'm looking, and finally, it appears. It was there all the time, I could not see it, I said, "Oh, there," and I bet I looked at that. I bet I looked, looking for your keys. I bet I looked under that magazine 10 times. But finally, it was there. It's kind of like I kept looking, and finally, it basically, I don't need to hold this anymore, but I'm talking to her on it, so we're laughing about it, So there it is, so I got it, I didn't have to come home a failure. Couldn't find the watch. Well, I'll go, I know exactly where it is, So anyway, there it was. But when I look at that, see, the karma kept me from seeing it. The karma was the story of you can't lift the hammer, or you can't find the white chocolate, you see. So this basically is my comic routine now, like Woody Allen.
So what are you saying, your karma from being something that happens to you in your younger life that someone puts on you and it keeps coming back?
No, you can look back in our youth, in our childhood, and you can see where the seeds of our karma are planted. And I can remember very clearly, I got a bicycle and my father's standing there and I'm trying to fix it. He says, "You can't fix that, give me that." So I said, "Okay," so that gets repeated over and over again. You are ingrained with the idea that I can't fix it, you know. And so then, of course, when you leave the soil where the seeds were planted, and you go out in the world, these seeds still work, but they frame the way you
You
operate.
become the one who can't fix things, or the one
Yes.
who, whatever.
Yeah, and and the karma will create the situation that will affirm this belief. Because I want to have the belief, but this is all, unconscious. It's not like, so what this practice is doing is it makes it conscious. If it's unconscious, I'm stuck in the groundhog. I'm stuck in the worry cycle. So I want to make it conscious. Well, I can't make it conscious unless I look at it. And I can't look at it unless I look at it with a sense of equanimity, of non-judgment, of non-accusation that I can't. No, that's why we don't look at it. We don't look at it because it's painful.
But when it becomes conscious, then that's when you begin to see that you can change it?
You just laugh.
But can't you change this?
No, you can't. You have to, this is the whole thing. The effort to change it is the effort to get out of the Groundhog Day is what keeps you stuck in the Groundhog Day. You see, but seeing is not effort. I can't say I'm going to see this so I can get out of it. You just let it go and you look at it. What's going on here? So it's basically looking without a judgmental eye that wants to fix me. See, if I look at it, believe me, I've been around, I'm 79 years old and these karmic things still go off, but now they're just funny. And I'm using it, you see now? Yeah, but see, I'm using my little shameful karma, you see, as a teaching tool.
But then it sounded like once you laughed, it sort of relaxed you enough that
Yeah,
you could open your eyes, and so in effect,
spontaneous.
Well, first of all, because I live a fairly mundane life, I'm not dealing with big events, I'm dealing with little things like poodle dog poop, stepping, things, washing, breaking, household stuff, So, I welcome it. I'm going to Walmart, and I've got my list, So I'm like the Grail Knight, I'm trying to go to get the treasure. What's the treasure? Well, the treasure is to laugh at myself. Because these little karmic, you see, these histories or these karmic conditioning, you see, it's where we've lived all of our life. I can look back on my life and I can see where I might spend 10 years in one of these loops. A job I was trying to get out of or not able to work. In other words, and you think you get out of it, oh boy, I'm free, and the next step you take creates the next one. You think it's new because it's different people, different situation, everything. In marriages, people do this in relationship. Get rid of one bum, and you end up with another one, and suddenly one day you wake up and Prince Charming is just like the other bum. What happened? The glow is worn off, you see. So we go through, I freed the karma and everything is beautiful, you see. And the next thing you know, you're back in Groundhog Day. You say, but we don't notice it because the situation is different, but the pattern is the same. A good example of this is the whirlpool. You look at a river and there's a whirlpool in it. Well, what's the whirlpool? See, the river water is constantly changing. So the whirlpool isn't the water, because the water is always different. The whirlpool is a pattern that maintains itself from the conditions of the river. Maybe there's a bank there, and there might be some dip, or I don't know what causes the conditions, but the whirlpool is created by conditions. If you change the conditions, the whirlpool goes away. You see? So let's take that and apply it to my life, you see. So if my karma is a whirlpool, and life is a river, it's always different. It's always fresh, it's always new, but the pattern stays the same. So we apply the pattern to the river, and I believe that the pattern is real, that I'm in the pattern, that I'm the pattern. So now and I feel the suffering. First noble truth, there is suffering. I feel the suffering of karma. what do? Well, the whirlpool can't get out of the whirlpool. See, so I have to relax. Say, oh, here's the whirlpool again. Isn't that interesting? I welcome it. This is an opportunity for me to see that it's just a pattern. It's not the river. You see, so when I go to the Walmart and I got the little whirlpool there, if I find the white chocolate, you see, I can, while I'm in the whirlpool, I can see the whirlpool. You see, and so then the whirlpool has got to just run itself down, but it ends up in a big laugh. In other words, you can't stop it, bam. You can see it, but when you see it, you're not in it because I'm seeing it. See the difference? If I'm in something, I can't see it. Because if I'm a fish in a bowl, I can't see the bowl. Or I can't see the water if I'm a fish, you see, because I'm in the water. Though we're in karma, we can't see it. Buddhism is awakening the seer that sees the whole pattern without judgment or worry, or it just sees it. And the seeing happens from outside of the pattern. The pattern then is not real. The water is real, but the pattern isn't. The pattern is coming from the past that I'm applying to my river of life, you see. And then I believe that I am caught in the, here I am, caught in the pattern again. How do I get out, you see? You had a question?
I was thinking about that. You would look but not see. Thinking of your chocolate example.
Yeah.
And I've always chalked it up to I'm having a senior moment. But I don't recall like 10 or 20 years ago doing this kind of stuff. But then again, that could be senior moment too, that I don't recall that. So.
Well, we all have senior moments. They're kind of, I just think they're funny. It's not a sign that I've got Alzheimer's. You know what I mean? It's just, it's just part of the game. It's part of the conditions. I mean, the conditions, accepting conditions is all what Buddhism is about, basically. Conditions is now. Now, Eckhart Tolle, which I recommend you all reading, talks about the power of now, or it's called present moment, presence, now. What is that? Is that a place now? What? No. It's the conditions that are right now, which includes everything, which includes my karma, you see, and it includes seeing it. So basically the accepting conditions means not resisting what I'm doing. So if I'm in with the white chocolate, you see, and I get the little frustration, I can't find the white chocolate and it's supposed to be here, why can't I see it? I'm looking, and I just don't see it, you see. And so there's a little pain there. I can't lift the hammer. But at the same time, I recognize that here's my old friend. Here's my old friend back, you see. I've lived in you all my life, but now I see you. When Buddha woke, when he came out of, when he sat under the Bodhi tree and achieved enlightenment, he said, I have seen the house builder, and will build a house no more. So he saw how he built himself, his me. And that was the house builder. The me who builds my karmic self. The me who builds in a Groundhog Day, the same old me repeating itself over and over again until it dies, you see. So he sees that. But the seer is not anybody. There's just seeing. When you're sitting here listening to me, if you're just listening, there is nobody listening, there's just listening. If there's somebody listening, then you may be commenting in your mind about what I'm talking about as I talk. You might go, oh, well, what does that mean? Oh, wait a minute, did I leave this, where's my phone? What was he saying? Well, I don't agree with that, or that's silly. In other words, this commentary going on is not listening. you see. If there's listening, there's nobody there. Now, we experience this all the time, but we don't really recognize it that way. You get into a conversation with a good friend, there's just listening. There's no opinion making, you know, while they're talking and saying, well, this is stupid, or when do I get out of this thing? You know, you're just listening. You're just being here. You know, when you're just being here in the present moment, there's nobody there. There's just the present moment. But as soon as you create me, now you are resisting being here, and now you're outside of being here commenting on it. Well, it should be better, you know, this person has a wart on their nose, you know, or, you know, whatever's going on, but you're commenting on it. Well, in order to comment on it, you've just abstracted yourself from being here into not being here. Now I'm commenting on the present moment, and it should be better than it is if that person would just straighten up or whatever, or if you would just do this, you would fix your, you know, whatever. In other words, you're trying to fix it. You're not accepting it. You're not surrendering to it by listening. You're trying to do something to it, make it better. You know, you're trying to get it out of karma. You know, you're trying to fix the world, you see. So this whole practice is not about fixing, but about just surrendering to being here and discovering that when you do that, something new arises that you were not able to know when you were trying to fix it. So the white chocolate thing, basically, but what I do notice is that when the karma, Tolly calls these pain bodies, when the pain body rises, it's kind of like I have to go, after I leave here, I have to go to, on the way home, I'll stop at PetSmart, and I have a little Buddha pond in my backyard, and I have some very large koi fish that are about 10 years old, and I have to get some food. Just when the water warms up, they start getting hungry. So I got to get some koi food for the fish, but if you ever know it's about fish, when they're hungry, they rise up to the surface. When they're not, they just go back down. See, so the pain body is like a hungry fish. It's going to rise up. So when I go to Walmart to get the white chocolate, the little koi fish of my pain body rises up so it can be fed, you see. And it gets fed by my identity with it. If I don't identify with it, it doesn't get any food. What it feeds on is me. So the karmic pattern only exists because I believe it's true. If I don't believe it's true, that means I don't identify with it. And if I don't identify with it, I don't avoid it. See what I mean? It's okay that it's here. It's okay that the karmic pattern is here, and it's here so I can see it. That's the purpose of the karmic pattern. Karmic pattern is not to make me feel ashamed and to avoid myself and bury myself deeper so it doesn't come up, you see, or to just feel like I'm helpless and I have to act out this plot somebody, my father wrote or something, you know, blame him. You know, in other words, it's recognizing it and allowing it to be here so I can see it through and through without trying to bury it, hide it, run from it, fix it, or do anything to it. So this is a practice, and we have to find, we can't practice without suffering. I mean, this fits into the Christian theme. So you got the resurrection, you got the crucifixion and the resurrection. We like to think of them as being totally separate. And we also think of it in terms of time. Resurrection happened in the past, or crucifixion happened in the past, resurrection is in the future, and I want to get to the resurrection. And then we may think of it in terms of afterlife, you know, a lot of different cosmic ways we like to think of and everything. But if you bring it into the simple terms of the Dharma, it's very real and very practical and very everyday. So if I go to the Walmart and I get into the white chocolate karma, boom, I'm hanging on my own cross. You see what I mean? The pain, you know, in this sense, we're looking at the cross metaphorically. not historically, you know. So the cross means my suffering, you know. So now I got the pains of my karma nailing me to this board, you see. I can't get off of it. I'm stuck, you see, in the karma. You know, so how do I get off of it? Well, I accept it. So the metaphor goes, so Jesus accepts the crucifixion. He doesn't say, why are they doing this to me? You know, he says, I welcome it, I accept it. And then that triggers the resurrection. It's not like you have to wait until you die, you see. In this framework, the accepting of the karma as the present moment, you see, relieves us from being trapped in the pattern, which is the crucifixion, and that immediately activates insight, which is resurrection of insight, which is liberation from my past. Now I'm completely new, you see. In other words, now I just do something that I never thought I would do before. Maybe I just laugh, you see. I just break out in a big hoo-ha, you see. Like when you get the joy, you know, the card of the pride and joy. So you get that card. First, this is karma. In other words, you want to see my pride and joy? Well, what is it, a truck? This dog? Oh, what a beautiful baby. Now you're into the Seinfeld skit where they had the beautiful baby and everybody was saying, oh, what a beautiful baby. And Kramer comes in and says, what an ugly baby. And everybody goes, ah. You know, so this whole thing here, you know, kind of like I love this because it triggers a karmic reaction. And then when I give it to them, you know, they say, there was a blank. And it said, wait a minute, that's not a baby. That's really pride and joy. Basically, he said, you want to see my pride and joy? Here it is. You see? No manipulation, no gimmick, nothing. It's just Joe Friday and the old dragnet, just the facts. Just the facts, you see. So the world is just the facts. And we put, oh my God, I gotta see an ugly baby and smile, and, you know, be phony, you know, all that. So what happens when you just see the facts, you break out in a laugh. You see, so joy, the real joy comes in when you see just the facts and you don't see the karmic pattern that you've been living in. See what I mean? The karma shapes the world we live in, so we believe the karma is real. And that somehow we can get out if we just get our act together or go see the right therapist or something like that, you see. I can get out of this monkey. But we don't. It comes back. Because we've never seen it. You see, we've never seen the pattern for the pattern as the pattern. We only see we believe that we believe the story of the facts. Just one comment about the Super Bowl. Everybody watched the Super Bowl? Some people, all, yeah. My experience of it was, after the martini wore off, was saturation. In other words, I don't know, the advertising in the Super Bowl is so powerful and so skilled, they put so much money into it. I was reminded of, if you go to the ocean and you step out to about here, and the waves are coming over your head, so one ad comes, but before you can take a breath, the other ad is coming, right? And before you can get a breath, another ad is coming, you know, pretty soon, you know, I'm drowning in intense ads, you know, and I no longer have the ability to see any of them. I'm just kind of like, my mind just gets kind of like blown out, you know. I'm reminded of my daughter's, she sings with Led Zeppelin, which is a female tribute band that plays Led Zeppelin music. And if you ever go to what is it called, the mash pit or the mosh pit or something, if you go to the pit and stand down there at a rock and roll concert where the speakers are right there, you were just, you know, like, you know, the whole, you were just, you know, you're just blown out. So I had that was kind of my experience of the Super Bowl was the only time you could relax a little bit was when the game was going on. You just, but then the next thing you know, they have as soon as they pause on the field, the commercials, boom, come in, bam, bam, bam. Anyway, and the final thing on this was Don Draper's job in Mad Men is the creative director of the advertising agency, so he is the creative inspiration for the ads. And what an ad is that it wants to give you a feeling, a pleasant feeling, where you are, and then connect that feeling to a product. So it's kind of like welding or grafting an emotional experience to an unemotional object. So if I have a successful ad that creates a feeling that I will be free from my karma, if I get this magic marker, and I just have to get the feeling of being free from karma, and then at the end, they'll say, get this marker. And then the next thing I go to the store, there'll be a whole bunch of choices there, and I'm going to pick that marker, because it got marked, you see, with the story of how I'm going to be free from karma and my pain if I get this product. And that's what ads do. They give the illusion that you can be, they give you the feeling that it's possible. This is the third noble truth. First one is there is karma and there's suffering. Second one is there's a cause. And the third one is you can be free from the suffering. All right, so the ad gives you, it probably does all three. It may tell you why you're suffering. That's because you need something, or you've been using an inferior product, or something's wrong with what you're doing. That's the cause of your karmic suffering. And if you get this product, you will be free from that. And they present this in emotional terms, so that the idea is story, the product thing is welded to the emotional feeling of the pain and liberation from my own karma. And they're very successful, and we've been indoctrinated with this now since TV came in. I don't know if radio did it, but not quite as effectively. But since the 50s, this is the water we've been swimming in. You see? So this is the water that we grew up in, and I grew up with radio. We got a TV in the 50s. But from the 50s on, this is the water we've been swimming in, and we don't see the water. Because we're in it. So basically this, if you look at it that way, it really is about how we're conditioned to live out our life in karma, chasing false ways to get out of it, which is through commercial products, you see. So this whole practice with the Buddha and the Dharma is basically saying, wait, what's the truth here? Let's look. Okay, let's listen to the third of the Yoga Nidra practices on feelings, and that will kind of like fit into what we were talking about today. I hope and then we can talk a little bit about that when we finish. This lasts about 6 minutes. Let's see if this works. where's my wife? Powerful and very practical practice. Now, the first two practices in Yoga Nidra, first one was sensing body energy, feet, hands, nose. Right? The second one is breath. Now, both of these are refuges, you could say, or groundings. So when the worry mind, when your karmic worry mind attacks you, you want to take refuge in your ground. So the place would be what's not thinking. Well, my body sensations and my breath is not thought. So I want to put my mind there and take it out of the hamster, take it off the hamster wheel. First you have to recognize the hamster wheel, then you have to put your mind, take refuge in your breath and body sensations. I do this all the time. I mean, when I'm walking, when I'm going to Walmart to get into the white chocolate karma, I'm being aware of my body, you know, the air on my hands, you know, my breath, you know, and I'm relaxing my mind, so it's not looking around saying, oh, that person ought to lose weight, you know, and all that trash in the mind. I'm just aware, and I'm just in my body, you know. So these two, first and second practices, are grounding. Now, you don't have to do anything there except take refuge or rest in the body sensation of mind. But now he's asking us to do something. So this third one on I feel. So let's take it apart a little bit to see exactly what's going on here. He starts out with raw sensations. The sensation of heaviness, right? So you all can feel that when you sit in the chair. You can feel the weight of the body. Then you can roam around like a little searchlight, running around. Now find something that feels light, you know, maybe like the air on my head here. You know, something that feels light, you know. And so then you go back, heavy and light, heavy and light. All the time now, the mind is running around here trying to upset you. Thinking is trying to say, you'll notice, thinking is trying to pull you off into commenting about it. You see? And so the voice takes you back. Let my voice be your voice. So the voice brings you back to that heaviness, light, heavy, light. And then he says, okay, now let's hold them together. Now, I feel like when he says put the two together, what he's really saying is just relax. See, this is effort. You know, I have to have an intention. I put my, you know, you grab your little attention, you know, it's like a searchlight. So you shine that on, you find some little heavy feeling, you shine it on there. Then you find a light feeling, you shine it on there, and you go back. So all the time the mind is trying to make you think of something. Because you're not thinking about something, a sensation, you want to feel the sensation without thinking about it. This is the tricky thing there, because we want to think about it. Oh, I think about something light. Well, no, that may be the first step, but what we want to do is just sense the feeling of heaviness, then lightness. That's not thinking. So back and forth. Then he says put them together. Well, basically what I think he's saying there is just relax and hold them all together, you know, so that you're not making effort to hold them together. He says you can't do that. You just relax and be aware of all of it together. So this is kind of like when my mother gave up trying to find the car keys. Are they here? Are they there? I look there, I look back. I just let the whole thing go. So she let it go. You know, so now awareness took over, her body wisdom took over and found the car keys. You know, so her body took over, her awareness took over, whereas before it was locked in the I gotta find it, I gotta find it, I can't find it, oh my God, oh my God. You see, karma. So what he's saying is relax the effort to do anything and just be relaxed awareness. Then he moves on, he goes from heavy to light to cold and warm, okay, sensations. And then he makes a big leap. All right, so then he says, find a feeling of anger. And then find a feeling of being at peace. And then he says, now this is important because you really have to look at this like an application you download for your smartphone. Right, this is an application that I can use on my mind to relieve it of worry or whatever I'm stuck in. Usually where worry is always in there, because if I'm angry, then I'm worried because I'm angry. Then I'm worried because I'm worried. And so we get, wow. So what he's saying here is, well, let's do this intentionally. So you may want to set this up so that if you just had a fight with somebody and you keep having the same fight, the same problem with this person or this situation, the same Groundhog Day fear keeps coming back, there's a feeling to it, an emotion. So activate that. So, write this down. See, I'm going to work with this fear of not being able to pay the light bill or something. Whatever the thing is bugging you. What is the feeling for that? So you write down, I'm going to work with this, all right? So you find that you reactivate that feeling, and then you find a place that's its opposite. Maybe listening to music, or maybe at a beach, or maybe when you were with something, a calming feeling. And then he said, well, see if you can find the feeling. Now, what the next step is to disconnect it. So you bring up the feeling of having the fight, the karmic fight that keeps returning, or the feeling of I can't lift the hammer, I can't find the frustration of being worthless, and I can't find the white chocolate. That feeling. But you disconnect it from the story. All you want is just the feeling. So you get the scissors out and you disconnect it from the cause of the feeling, which is like my father did it, or I'm helped, whatever the cause of the situation, my wife did it or something. You see, you disconnect that. You just want to just be aware of the feeling, the emotion. And then you find its opposite, again, without the story. And then you go back and forth, right? This also disconnects you from the story. It disconnects you from the product. In other words, if the ad, if the ad makes you feel good, takes the feeling of your feeling good, you see all these people happy, and then it connects that feeling good with the product, that's a story, you see. Now I have a craving for the product in order to recapture the feeling of being free. So all of our emotions, you see, are tagged to some story of who did it to me, or why I'm doing it to myself. You see, so now the feeling is held hostage by the story of the feeling, which is in the past and I can't do anything about. You see? So it's a real tape loop. The story is in the past, I can't go back there and change it, and I can't jump into the future to make it come better, you see, but the feeling is now. But I believe the feeling is caused by the past or the future. Worries about the future. You see what I mean? So now I'm stuck in this feeling, I'm stuck on the cross. I can't get out because I've attached the feeling to the past and the future that I can't do anything about. So now I'm looping, you see. So this practice basically is saying, wait a minute, there's nothing wrong with the feeling, just disconnect it from the story and just accept the feeling. And what happens? It's just a feeling, and it passes. It's like the place setting at the table. You set the table, you put the place setting there, it holds the people and the table in place. Well, that's your place, and that's, put your name on it, a little tag, that's Ed's place, whatever. So you're held in place by the place setting, you see. So this is the story of our feelings, but the feelings are the river. You see, feelings are, this is one of the principles of Buddhism, is impermanence. Impermanent. All form is impermanent. Everything dies. Everything changes. Nothing stays the same. Everything changes. Even feelings. But the feeling of pain, of shame, gets stuck when we put it in a story and believe the story is true. The only thing that's true is the feeling. I have a feeling of, I can't find a white chocolate. My wife's got to come save me. Here I am, I can't do it again, can't find. So anyway, so if we relax the belief in the story, the feeling changes. It can't stay because it's changing. It's the water going through the pattern. Pattern stays the same because we believe it, you see. So this practice right here is very powerful because it is a way for you to play with this. But first you have to find a karmic suffering, some pain, some worry, something going on in the mind that's tape looping. And you become really curious to see if this works. I don't know if it works. Believing it won't do it. You have to really try it. It's like a lab experiment. So you find some emotions that you're working with that have a story, and you do the opposites, which kind of like begins to break you out of the attachment to the story. It's just this feeling. And then you just relax and let both pairs of opposites be there and just watch what happens. You see, that kind of like moves you kind of like into the seeing that is not aware of one thing. It's kind of like going from a searchlight to this light. In other words, if I'm just operating by a flashlight, I'm only going to see what the flashlight points to. I'm aware of you, and then I'm aware of you. You see, now I'm aware of a heavy place, now I'm aware of a light place, now I'm aware of a feeling of anger, now I'm aware of a feeling of peace. Boom, boom, boom. Now put them together, boom. You see, I've taken the effort out of the mental fist trying to do something. You see, now I just relax my mind and allow all of these things to be there. And I don't know what's going to happen. I may find the keys and I may not. See, I may see the white chocolate and I may not. They may not be there. You see? So, but we don't know because we haven't been there before. We've always been working with a flashlight.
Well, that's the purpose of that. When he says feel heavy and feel light,
Yeah.
That's the purpose of it. Then is to dissolve the whole thing.
Yeah, because see that takes. Well, you got mental. If I say pick this up and then pick this up,
Yeah.
okay, that's mental. That's physical effort. But if I just put my attention on a warm spot in the body, and then then a cold spot, you see, that's the same. That's a mental effort, a mental hand. You see, that's where most of us live through life, going through life with the searchlight, flashlight, you see. And the thing about the flashlight is that as soon as I focus on you, I appear. In other words, if I make you an object, as the viewer of the object, I appear. So object, subject appear at the same time. Object doesn't appear by itself. I'm aware, I'm conscious of the object. But until I become conscious of an object, I'm not here. Well, we can observe this. As soon as I got tinnitus, I use this all the time, ringing in the ears. Right now I hear it. I haven't heard it all day, right? Now I say, oh, I got this ringing in my ears, right? But I didn't have it all day until just that moment, because I'm aware of it. So now, when I'm aware of tinnitus, the ringing, me, has a ringing in the ear. And me doesn't like it. Now I got this ringing in the ear. Me is suffering. What do you mean? Like, I can't, there's no medicine, you can't fix it? Bummer, you see. Now me has got a, but me and tinnitus rose. When I wasn't aware of it, there was no me aware of tinnitus and there was no suffering. So the only time,
As I was listening to this, I was thinking that this was a matter of mind over mind. Until you said the tinnitus, then I thought, that's mind over matter, or is it? But then I think about this, when you have a stroke, for example, and you have the crazy leg, loose leg, what do you call that? I don't know what you call it.
restless leg.
The restless leg.
Yeah.
I wonder if you could do the back and forth there and mind over matter.
Well, too, see, if you take a restless leg, it's no difference between that, really, but that and ringing in the ears. Although it may be more discomfort, whatever. But the thing is, if I don't like the restless leg, because I shouldn't have one, I should be, I shouldn't have it. So I'm not accepting it. You see, so now I'm in conflict with it. And now I'm constantly aware of it because me doesn't like it, you see. So my dislike, non-acceptance of the restless leg makes the restless leg even stronger. You see, so I'm holding it in place. I don't know what it would be like if I don't hold it. You see, whether it would just be less, or whether I wouldn't even notice it, or whether it would stay the same, I don't know. But I'd be curious to find out, you see. So to find out would be, I would have to separate the feeling of the restless leg from the story of the restless leg, which is, I shouldn't have this thing. Me should not have a restless leg. I don't like it. How do I get rid of it? But it's just a feeling. You see, it's just, you could feel it, but what I do is I brand it. You see, there's the feeling, and then I brand it to a story. I shouldn't have it, and that holds it in place, and it holds me in place. Now I'm irritated and unhappy because I've got this problem that I didn't ask for, you see, and nobody can fix. So now I'm just hanging on the cross forever. So this whole, what I'm interested in, you see, is see if I can intervene in this thing by separating it from the story that holds it in place. And the story that holds it in place is the story of me. You see, so me holds our pain in place. Without me, there's no pain. Without me as somebody who's hurt or painful, that's the ingredient in order to have the suffering. You see, in other words, that's why, you've got the suffering, and then maybe somebody gets your attention off of it. You go read a book, or you go to a movie or something, you get involved in something, and say, oh, I wasn't even aware of that pain for, a whole hour, or a whole day, or a year. We might go home. Young people experience this. You leave home, and then you go back, and you're running around happy, and you go back home, and the old emotional clothes are waiting for you like a straitjacket, and you walk right into the house, stick your arms into your childhood, and now you're all back in the pain of your childhood. What in the hell? How do I get out of here? You go back in, you're back in your childhood karma, Yeah, and the parents, you see, they don't. Well, they could be dead, or they could just, all I know is he was here and now he's gone there. I don't know what he did and he's back now, but my baby's back. So the old patterns flip right back in, the placeholders are waiting,
And that's where you have to be careful not to judge yourself when that happens.
Yeah,
Just let it go, don't, because of the tendency would be it's like, darn, I thought I got rid of that. and it's
yeah,
still
or
here.
blaming them, or, well,
100
yeah.
years ago,
Yeah.
it's still here.
Yeah, but then to see what the way you flip it is you say, oh, here it is again. I used to live in that, but now I don't have to.
Something making my life.
You know, in other words, that's where I used to live. You go around to an old house, you know, Don Draper goes back to his old house, the whorehouse he was brought up in, and he takes his kids, says, that's where I grew up. It's an old ramshackled house, you see. I did, you
The
know.
whole situation should be yours.
Yeah.
You should forget it.
Yeah, this whole our past relationships, you know, where marriages and all the stuff that we've left behind,
Yeah.
you know, it's just gone, you know.
The landfill.
Yeah, we just let it go, you know, because when we just let it go, it still has its importance. It's kind of like people, mothers, parents, but if I don't worry, you know, it's kind of like I have to worry about my children. If I don't worry about it, I don't love them. That's kind of like the thing, you know. I really have, my love means that I have to worry about them. No. You know, that's just, I love my worry. That's all. Yeah. Okay, well, thank you. You're very, very attentive to. I've learned a lot about my white child.
Experience.
Yeah.
that.